on the old YouTube. Talking about sports for me and you. I said, Roope and Rumsey is their name. Chat about things from the latest game. Roope and Rumsey, oh Roope and Rumsey. It's time for Roope and Rumsey. The boys.
All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the R&R Show. Sit back and relax and enjoy the best little sports show ever. I'm your host, Michael Roope, and this is my co-host, William Rumsey. Hello, William.
Howdy.
All right. Well, today's show, we got a great show. Something that actually was a lot of fun for me to think about last night. We are doing the top 5 fantasy moments for each William and I. They can be good or bad. A lot of mine, I think, might trend towards the bad. And this, the jersey I'm wearing can maybe kind of lead into some of that. So my nice Adrian Peterson jersey.
You always like
your Pabst Blue Ribbon shirt, does that lead into your thing?
It doesn't.
Okay, well, hey, listen, maybe you drank a few after it. So without further ado, let's jump right into this. Like I said, this was exciting for me. And with fantasy football getting ready to get in full swing and baseball now, we're in the midst. Let's jump in. So what do you got at your number 5?
All right, so let's set the scene. 2005.
Okay.
I'm a novice fantasy player. That was my second year in playing with my group of buddies from Ball State.
Yep.
At the beginning of the year, I had drafted, I think, Sean Alexander maybe second or third overall.
Okay.
For some reason, maybe like the first 2 or 3 games of the season, I traded Sean Alexander.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I traded him for Edgerrin James, Eli Manning, and the Bengals defense.
How'd that work out?
It did not. So Sean Alexander, Edgerrin James had a decent year.
I was going to say, Edge was...
He had a pretty good year, but, it didn't offset the crap, the shittiness of Eli Manning and the Bengals defense.
Well, and Sean Alexander, he had a prolific year.
He had 1,900 total yards and 28 touchdowns.
Wow, that's a monster. See, I think LT has the most touchdowns, but that's got to be probably one or two off the base.
So I traded him to my buddy Peter Ryan Haviza. I lost sleep over it.
Oh, yeah. Fantasy will do that.
Any serious fantasy player, they care.
Yeah.
Some people act like they don't care, but I shit you not, I lost sleep. Through the weeks going, I just remember
as the wins kept on piling up for that gentleman that you traded into, and watching him, it probably made you sick to your stomach every Sunday.
It did.
I've had quite a few like that. Coming in at my number 5 is actually something that maybe me and you were a part of.
Okay.
In fact, I do remember you being a part of that.
Oh man!
It was we were in the baseball playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And was it the championship?
No.
It was
the
semifinals.
Are you talking about you want to say it?
Kershaw,
Bruce? It was the semifinals.
So that's what I thought it was, semifinals. Yeah. And again, nothing's better when you're in these games and you get down to the last game of the week. And then you're actually getting to share it with somebody live, which you and your brother came over, and it basically got down to we were basically deadlocked, and I had Kershaw on the mound, and this is probably between 5 to 6 years ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And this is where Kershaw's at his peak. You were maybe lucky to get 2 hits off of him in the game, and I had Kershaw going. And he had Jay Bruce.
It's when the Sandy Koufax comparisons were coming at the forefront.
Absolutely, and well deserved because he was unhittable. But then he had Jay Bruce, which we pretty much chalked that up as 3 to 4 strikeouts for the game. Right. And basically I had to have a vintage Kershaw performance, and I was going to go on to the finals. Well, what proceeded to happen was that first at bat, we got it out of the way quickly. Jay Bruce comes up, he jacks one, which basically, because if he gave up a run, I was pretty much toast. But then to add, I was like, well, maybe if he goes long enough, I could get that whip in. But then he proceeds to hit a second bomb.
Yes.
So Jay Bruce not only hits one, he hits 2 bombs off of Kershaw, which at that point was unhittable. And the rest is fantasy history.
That's my number 4.
Oh, okay.
So, just, so I'll talk about it from my perspective now. So obviously you lived probably at that point in time probably about 20 minutes away from where we live. So my brother and I coming up there, I just was already defeated. It's like I just wanted to go hang out. It was cool because we both had players in the final game. And I'll just never forget walking in. You just had a shit-eating grin on your face, like, I got this in the bag.
It's on.
Jay Bruce hit that first bomb. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And then the second bomb came, and I was elated.
Oh, man.
It was probably one, it was
and nothing's worse to be on my side of the ledger during that when you actually have in the company of the winner, because, man, there's nothing worse. Especially when you're the host, because you can't get up and leave.
You were settled in.
I was stuck with William for the rest of the night.
You had a bowl of popcorn. Your bags were, so the shit-eating grin left with me.
It did. So that's it. Well, obviously it made both of our lists and stuck out. My number 4. This is again is in the baseball. This was in the baseball championship in one of the Chicago leagues I'm in. I played no other than our good friend Casey Kirkpatrick. We were basically deadlocked again, and he was up like 7-5, and the whip was basically within a tenth of maybe 2/10 of a percentage. So he had nobody left. I had Papelbon. So at that point, I basically needed Papelbon to pitch quite a bit, and he proceeded to go out. He quickly goes through 1, 2, 3 in that first inning. And then they send him out for another inning.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. He got 3 quick outs, and he got it down to 100%. I'm like, oh, man. But then they ended up sending, and this is at the end of the year, they had to actually, Red Sox, for whatever reason, that year didn't have anything to play for. The announcer's like, well, leave him out there. They don't have anything to play for. It's the end of the year. They left him out there, and then they went to TV break, and they're like, it looks like they're going to leave him out there. They went to break, and then he was out there for the next inning. And then all of a sudden the manager came. I only needed 1 more out from Papelbon. So they sent him out for a third inning, which is unheard of for a reliever. And then they all of a sudden, the manager comes out and gives him the hook. And I'm like, whoa! My God. All I needed was 1 more out to sway that for the percentage to go into a tie, and I hit the tiebreaker.
Jonathan Papelbon, he was always in the fantasy mix.
And
he was always a top reliever.
Yep, and he always had that great entrance song.
The Dropkick Murphys?
Yeah. Great one. So, who do you got your number 3?
So, in 2018, I beat my brother, Little Benny, for the fantasy title in your yearly league.
Yep.
It was crazy. The championship was decided on Christmas Eve. And I remember it came down, and I can't even remember the 2 players, but it was Raiders and Broncos. You couldn't have 2 more crappy teams decide a championship. And we watched it to the very end, and I was like thinking, am I going to let my little brother beat me on Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve.
I remember it was the Rumsey Bowl.
Yeah, it was the Rumsey
Bowl. Yeah, you guys played each other in both leagues, if I remember.
Did we?
Yeah.
I think we did.
Yeah. It was known as the Rumsey Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay. I don't think we did.
You didn't?
No.
I know at least the keeper you did. Right?
No.
Or was the other way?
It was the year.
I had it all screwed up. There's so many of them that come through there, but but it was known as the Rumsey Bowl.
The Rumsey Bowl.
Yeah, because I've had a few root bowls in my day too.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. Nice.
Yeah,
that's number 3.
My number 3. Again, this is one of these that, and this leads into why I'm wearing this jersey. Now, AP has led me to a lot of titles through the years, but this particular day. Basically, I'll set it up. It's another Chicago league I'm in. I had basically I was down 3 points going into the finals, and he had nobody left. I had AP.
Oh.
In the bag, right?
Oh boy.
Not so fast. He's fine all week. He comes up lame in pregame.
Oh.
And basically they give him they don't even let it during pregame. He was fine, and then he did something during pregame. He like pulled a hammy or something, and they didn't like the way he looked. Leslie Frazier says, "Nah, we're just going to rest him." So they bench him, and he doesn't play at all. And I had no wiggle room because it was on a Monday night game. And the league is set up where the fab budget's just done on one day, which is Thursday. I had no guys left, so and I went from a sure, and this was in a title game, a sure title. It could have been the 73rd, but no, not so fast. I lose, and nothing was more bitter than just basically having a player get yanked, and he's fine all week. So that
the moral of the fantasy story: nothing is a sure.
Nothing's
thing.
guaranteed ever. No, so that one hurt.
That one stung.
That did.
Yeah.
So who do you got your number 2?
So I have last year a day with Uncle Donnie. In your basement right over there.
Yes.
We were both. We were again in the semifinals of your fantasy keeper league, which is for us is probably the most important league that we're in. And I just came over to your base, and it was just a roller coaster.
It was. And when he says roller coaster, he isn't lying.
We were drinking cherry vodkas. We were both in a good mood. I mean, it was 1-2 punches going back and forth.
And
I had
wild
Zeke, I had Cooper Cup. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys and the Rams game was insane.
Yep.
There were
the up and downs of the 20-point swings. I mean, I'd be up 20, you'd be up 20, I'd be up 20. I mean, it was like it was.
Travis Kelce put up some big. I think Tyreek Hill did as well. I remember your brother Blake came up with what was it? Kenny Stills and Nash.
Kenny Stills and Nash.
That made me chuckle.
A little Chris Berman, yes.
But I remember jumping out of my seat a couple times. But then that day was over. The very next night, Michael Thomas went off against the Colts.
And you had a pretty decent lead. I mean, not unsurmountable, but you had maybe an 18-point lead.
I had a 21
Or 21. Okay.
I had a 21-point lead going in. You had Michael Thomas left. We were like, is he going to do it? But he broke it he did it in the first half.
Yeah. He put it all.
The Colts defense was
he couldn't.
Travesty.
No, he couldn't even. No, it was. That was one of, it didn't even make my list, but that definitely was a great move. I mean, when you play as long as we do, there's a lot of highs.
I mean, there may be some recency, but actually, there's not. That day was, I had a blast.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. That's one of the more fun I've ever had on a day.
For sure.
And speaking of that, the Red Zone channel can do that for you when it's just bouncing.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, we're like,
yeah.
I mean, that's some good stuff. My number 2... this is actually one of my winning moments that I enjoyed. This has been basically known as the Roope Slam. Tiger has the Tiger Slam where he hits all 4 majors in one calendar year. I was able to do it in my leagues where I've held all 4 titles in one calendar year. So, when you're hosting a league...
Tiger Woods.
Yes, I did. It's now known as the Roope Slam over in these parts because I do host 4 main leagues. I do host a couple others here on the side of the Little Raker, but there's always 4 main ones. A keeper and an annual in both baseball and football. And I was lucky enough during that calendar year to have all 4 in 1 year, which,
Was that the genesis of the championship belt?
Oh, yes. I'm like, you know what? I need to order those. But yes, so basically 4 titles in 1 calendar year that I hosted is now known as the Roope Slam.
Man.
Who you got as your number 1, buddy?
So, my Indianapolis league, my buddies from Ball State, we started in 2004. Well, it took me 14 years to win my first title.
Oh,
so
you paid your dues.
I did. I mean, I was in the championship, I think, 3 or 4 times before I actually... And it was I beat the gentleman that I traded Sean Alexander to. So I beat him.
Full circle.
Full circle. I may have teared up.
Oh, absolutely.
I remember I had my Christmas tree up. I might have been drinking a little bourbon, and I was just sitting on the couch. And it was just like the monkey came off my back.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and for people that haven't won a championship, it's special. I mean, when you finally get, like Billy said, the monkey off your back. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We do decorate in some of my leagues, like with the dog tags or the name on the big trophy.
We have a trophy.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever you guys do in your leagues, it's always good to be recognized in the following year as one of the past champions. I know as we walk around, the drafts I have, if you have
I don't have dog tags.
I have a Mr. T starter set.
Oh. But, to follow it up, I made it to the championship game the very next year after that, lost in the championship, but then I won it again last year.
Oh!
So 2 hours, I'm making up for loss. But that's the tie for number one. I'm breaking the rules here.
Oh! You have a second number one?
Yes. So our text thread with the cronies last year.
Oh, yes.
So we were on a group text with our fantasy league, and the trade deadline, I've never seen anything like that
was wheeling and dealing.
There was a trade popping up every.
Am I a part of this last
you are.
I figured.
Yeah, so the trade deadline is set up, which is a phenomenal rule. It goes through that Monday night football game.
The last snap
of the game. So trades were just flying off the handle. And I remember you and I talking, and you were like, I think I'm going to try to trade for Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
And all of a sudden...
Don't say his name.
Oh, yeah. Matthew Stafford. and I pulled the trade, and Donnie looked at his phone. He was like, wait a second. Did you just trade for Matthew Stafford?
I did. Basically, it looked like I saw a ghost. If you could have had a camera on me, it would have been epic because... I was looking to trade for Matthew because I had some quarterback issues, if you remember. I had three of them on my roster, and they were all...
And Stafford was lighting it up last year until he get it. And all the trades that I made, all three of those did not work.
None of them.
I
don't think anybody like mine did.
They made it even worse this year.
DeAndre but I ended up giving up Mixon. So I mean, sometimes as you like to notate, flags fly forever.
Yeah.
So you got to
I tried to. I mean, so Stafford. He got hurt. He didn't play a game.
No.
He hurt his back and was out for the year. That I felt like a real general manager through that text thread, wheeling and dealing.
And if you guys don't do that in your leagues, I do recommend because this is really starting to take off more and more. We've always had a trade deadline, but we're always on a group thread. And I'm telling you, it creates a lot of fun.
And I think keeper leagues is probably where it was going to happen even more.
Yep. I had to get it out of everybody because, a lot of people always, if that you're playing against, think they're getting screwed if somebody else is trading somebody. But if you set your leagues up right, and I believe that ours is, where the draft picks come into play and stuff, it is a lot of fun. I actually forgot about that. That is a great moment. My number one, oh boy, and again, this leads to this guy.
Oh man,
he's two in my top five. Is
this one I bet $71 on him?
No, absolutely not. This one again, it was in the championship game, and this was unreal. Championship game, and it's in the Chicago League I'm in. It basically gets down to where I'm down 1.7 points. And I'm on the phone with this guy, one Jim Maxwell from Chicago during this game. Yes, and I'm on the phone with him, and it's just like nip and tuck. And we're like, oh my God, is it going to do it? Is it going to do it? So it gets down basically at the end of the game. I'm down 1.7. I'm like, they're not. Basically, the game was over. The actual football game itself was over. Minnesota at that point was down, I believe, a significant amount. So anyway, they still had AP in there. They end up doing a little swing pass to him with a few seconds left. He catches the ball. Okay, so there's a point for the reception. He races around up the field for about 12 yards, and he's on the sideline. And instead of just stepping out because it's meaningless, he decides to try to cut it back in, and then he gets stripped and fumbles on the last play of the game. The other team gets the ball and kneels for one final play, and it's over. So I won and lost the championship on the last play of the game.
Dear God.
Yeah, so you talk about...
Did you say that was in the championship?
It was in the championship. I was on the phone with the guy. His name's Jim, Jem, Jim. And, you talk about chaos on the phone. I mean, we're both screaming, and then it was like, I'm screaming because I won, and then he's screaming because he just won. I mean, it was nuts.
The roller coaster of
emotion. Yeah. I mean, and again, I should probably burn this jersey, but he did win me a lot of them. Yeah. I will say one honorable mention. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. Yes. In your brother's football league, I'm kind of a legend in that league.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to basically win 3 titles in a row. Which is hard to do, but they were
does that say more about you or the league that you're in?
Probably the league. But I won 3 titles in a row, and it was all at the expense of one sticky hands Jonathan Blackburn. Every year he's pounding on his chest, I'm going to do it, I'm going to wax all you guys. And every year I'd send him back crying.
That last one, I think he had to go into therapy.
I guarantee he did. Basically, and for a lot of fantasy players that are really good, usually people get up for playing. And I'm no different. People seem to get up. They want to usually knock me off. And
that's true.
It is.
That's true.
It is. I usually, people will make the extra moves, do the extra things needed to beat me. So, but it's a lot of fun. I hope, let us know what your guys' top 5s are when you guys check us out. All right? Thanks.